Harry.
They'll source you out to Lauder. Stoddard!
Hastings? Ah, thank you. Hastings? Now, I shall need at least 6. No, 8. For the Tetra à l'Angoisse. I shall ask the hotel to cook us some tomorrow.
It's not like ordering them in a shop, Poirot. I've got to shoot the damn things.
But I have every faith in your marksmanship, Hastings.
You ready, old man?
Ah, Roger.
Mr. Poirot, it's taken me 10 years to get him up onto Uncle Harry's moor. I don't want you missing the drive.
I'm ready.
For God's sake, Harry, it's not much.
Doesn't mean I can marry again. £300 is nothing to you.
Look bloody odd, wouldn't it, Jack? Me putting that sort of money in the way of my maid and my gamekeeper.
Damn you. I sometimes wonder which of us was born a bastard.
Jack! Stoddard!
Yes, Mr. Roger.
Look after Mr. Archie, will you?
Aye, aye, sir. Right, Mr. Archie. Right, have a look here. John, what do you think?
Good luck, darling.
Bonne chance, mon ami.
Thanks, old man.
Good shooting, Archie.
Thanks, Zoe.
Poor old Archie. Hasn't a clue, I'm afraid.
He's your cousin, isn't he?
Yes. Should have seen the guns he turned up with. Still, he's only a school teacher, so on his salary, what could you expect? Now, this is you, old man. Good shooting.
Thanks.
Into your shoulder. Tight. Stroke the cheek. Tight. Right. 90-degree angle. Now break.
Well, let's hope for a good bag.
They're breaking, Mr. Pace.
Here they come.
Monsieur Poirot. Monsieur Poirot.
Oh, pardon, madame. The popping, you know.
Why did you come, Monsieur Poirot?
The red grouse. It must be eaten fresh while the gun is still smoking, as we say.
Ah, gourmet.
You are too kind, Madame Havering, but it is most rare in my country, the tetras. We make do with la gelée nut, the wood grouse. With the flavor, it is piney.
Piney.
Yes, this is not a word, piney, like the pine trees?
Oh, piney. Yes. It's a very good word.
Here we are, sir. Slow. Quick.
Watch him, Stoddard! Ah! You've hit Mr. Pace! Mr. Pace! You bloody fool! You bloody fool! You damn near killed me! And what the hell were you doing, Stoddard? You were supposed to be looking after him. Call yourself a gamekeeper? You can't even pass muster as a nursery maid! Oh! Will you give me a handkerchief?
Mr. Archie is a complete idiot.
It looks like Uncle Harry's all right. Well, I better get back to Hunter's Lodge. Make sure Mrs. Middleton has everything under control for lunch. She's only with us pro tem. Monsieur Poirot, may I entrust you with a task?
Madame.
Look after Cousin Archie for me, will you? I couldn't bear it if he went back to his little cottage and brooded.
He will not be able to brood in the company of Hercule Poirot, madame.
You are a treasure. Where's Mrs. Middleton?
Up in her room, ma'am. She done most of it. She left us a note to get on setting it out.
She's impossible. Still, it all looks very nice.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm going to lie down for a moment. I've got a wretched earache. The wind up there's like a knife. It's been snowing up on the moor, you know. Others will be here in about half an hour. Mrs. Middleton?
For 2 hours I am waiting in the snow, Hastings. The ice, it is forming on my bones. Ah, a log fire. One of the better traditions of the English.
Roger was saying you keep an eye on the place for the family.
Yes, I'm local. A poor relation is available. Damned invidious it is, too.
What is it?
Some of my pupils' families live 6 to a room. This place lies empty 40 weeks of the year. They only come up here for the shooting.
Mrs. Middleton, where's my wife, do you know?
She's up in her room, sir.
A room?
She's an earache, sir, I'm told.
Well, she damn well ought to be here.
That sort of thing won't get him very far. Not with Zoe.
Will you have some more punch, girls?
Thank you, Mr. Paisley.
Ah, excuse me. Uncle Harry, I'm really sorry about your hand. Don't think I'll take up grouse shooting as a career.
Delighted to hear it. A fella asked me the other day, a Bolshie, you know, asked me, had I actually made anything during my worthless life? Certainly, I said. I made a lot of friends, I made a lot of enemies, and I've made a lot of money.
You all right, Poirot? My feet, Hastings, are still blocks of ice. My lungs, they are full of the gunpowder and the fresh air. My ears are full of the popping, and I am ill. No, I am not all right, Hastings, not at all.
Au revoir, Monsieur Poirot.
Au revoir.
Good to have met you.
Thank you.
I had to be off. It's a 6-mile bike ride for me, I'm afraid.
You are leaving? One can leave?
Mr. Poirot, goodbye.
Ah, Monsieur Havering. Goodbye. Thank you.
Next year, we'll put you up at the house.
No, the hotel's fine. It's very comfortable. Bye, Roger.
Bye.
Cheerio. Thanks. Hope his hand gets better.
I'm sure it will.
Bye, Archie. Take care. Oh, God, I'm sorry.
It's all right. I'm all right. Are you all right, Zoe?
Oh, yes. I had a filthy earache. I'm fine now. Take care of yourself, Archie.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Well, Hi then.
I'll get myself ready, then I'll be off to London. I should make the 5 o'clock.
Darling, couldn't you catch the 6:15?
Why?
Mrs. Middleton wants to go down to Stoddart's place to pick up some game.
Oh, darling.
She makes such a fuss.
Bloody temporary staff. Don't know what that agency is playing at. Ellie has to walk 4 miles and you never hear her complaining.
It would be so much easier if you gave her a lift. She'd only have to walk back.
All right, all right. I'll do it.
Mrs. Middleton?
Joe, would you like a lift too? Mr. Havering could drop you off on the way to Mr. Stoddart's.
Oh, thank you, Mum.
Come along then.
I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it, Poirot.
My enjoyment is yet to come, Hastings. I have given to the chef his instructions.
What's that?
Mon Dieu. Look at this, Hastings. I am a corpse waiting to die. I shall not survive to enjoy my tetra à l'angoisse.
Oh, you stay there. You stay.
Mr. Stoddard! Mr. Stoddard! Fetch the police. There's been a shooting. Go! Go!
And you can confirm that this is Mr. Harrington Pace?
Yes, sir. Mrs. Havering's in a terrible state. I've given her something to help her sleep. I let the killer in. That's what I can't get over.
Describe this man.
He was wearing a big overcoat and he had a beard, a great bushy thing. He said he wanted to see Mr. Pace, so I showed him into the gun room like I always do with visitors.
Yes?
I went back into the living room and started clearing up, and then you heard the sound. The shot. Like someone knocking on the door of hell it was.
Who is it?
It's me.
Come in, Hastings.
There's been a murder.
Who has been murdered?
Harrington Pace, up at Hunter's Lodge, shot with one of his own revolvers. Oh, you're still not well, Poirot.
Oh, I must confess, I feel a little weak.
You get back into bed now.
Oh.
You can leave this to me.
Come on.
This investigation, you can leave it to me. I'll report back to you, of course. I know these people, Poirot. I've got one or two ideas already.
What are these ideas, Hastings?
You just relax.
Hastings, will you please stop tapping your nose in that theatrical manner and tell me all that you know?
Don't seem to be able to find that Mrs. Middleton, Sarge. What do you mean, can't find her? Oh, this is the Scotland Yard fellow. Find her! That's all,
Jack, Scotland Yard. Sergeant Forgan, Ashby Pickard. Pleasant drive, sir.
You trying to be funny?
No, sir.
Rich, was he the victim?
Oh, yes, sir. Harrington Pace. Understood outside Newmarket. House in Belgravia, mooring at Monte Carlo.
And who stands to benefit?
Practically all of it goes to his nephew, Roger Havering.
And where is he?
Spent the night at his club in London. Yeah, we phoned him there. He's coming back on the first train, sir.
He was shot by a man who just turned up at the door asking to see him. Must have got away through that window. It was the gamekeeper who came and got us. Oh, he stood to gain too, sir. He's the only other real beneficiary.
Oh, yes.
Pace left him £4,000.
Did he, by God?
Excuse me, Sergeant, but she's not on premises. She's definitely gone.
Who's that?
Well, the housekeeper, Miss Middleton. She showed a killer into the house.
She's our chief witness.
Better initiate a search. How many men have you got?
Men, sir? Just the one, sir. Him.
Well, you'll have to make optimum use of your resources, won't you?
Sir?
Roger, what a terrible thing. I'm awfully sorry.
Thank you. I must go straight to the lodge. Zoe needs me.
I think we ought to pop in and see Poirot on the way. He's feeling a bit poorly, so I'm handling the case. But we must keep him informed.
I am profoundly ill, as you can see, but I will do my best to assist.
Thank you.
One thing, Monsieur Havering, if you please.
Yes?
Pardon, but what were you doing when your uncle was killed?
Oh, it's all right. Roger was on his way to London.
I spent the night at my club. Police rang me there. It's a horrible business.
You went to London by train?
Yes, I caught the 6:15.
You talked to anyone on the train?
No.
You arrived at your club at what time?
About 10 o'clock. Actually, it was a bit later. I walked down from King's Cross.
That's fine. Thank you. Hastings.
We'll get on up to the lodge, Poirot.
Very well, Hastings. Hello, yes, this is Hercule Poirot, room number 5. I require, if you please, a railway timetable.
I was in here with Mr. Pace when there was a knock at the door. I heard Mrs. Middleton go to answer it, so I got up to see who it was.
Yes.
It was a man I didn't recognize, so I waited for Mrs. Middleton to show me to the gun room and come and announce him.
What did he look like?
Average-ish height, hat, specs, I think. Couldn't be sure. Beard.
What sort of beard?
Bushy. He looked like one of those anarchists in a cartoon in Punch.
Do you remember what time this man arrived?
About 7:15.
Please go on.
Well, Mrs. Middleton knocked a minute later, said the man wouldn't give his name, but wanted to see Mr. Pace. Harry said he'd see what he wanted. He got up, and a few minutes later we heard the shot.
The housekeeper, Mrs. Middleton, she was in the room with you, was she?
Yes, she was clearing the drinks glasses.
Did this man arrive by car?
I don't know. I didn't hear anything.
Would you normally hear a car arriving?
Oh, yes. Yes, if he came by car, he didn't bring it up to the house.
You carry on here.
Yes, sir.
This hotel of yours presentable, is it?
Not too bad.
I'll book myself in. What are their sandwiches like?
Sandwiches? No idea. Tell you what, I put my money on this Middleton woman being in league with the killer. On her own admission, she shows the fellow in. Next morning, she's gone.
Yeah, but she's the only person who's had a proper look at the killer. What if she saw through his disguise?
Disguise? What disguise?
Bushy beard and glasses. And suppose she saw who it was under the disguise. Perhaps we'd better start looking for another body, not a witness.
Well, Mr. Poirot, you get that down yet? And I reckon you'll live to fight another day.
Oh. Thank you very much, Mr. Anstruther. Come in. Ah, Chief Inspector Jacques. Hastings, this is Monsieur Anstruther of the London, Midland and Scottish Railway.
Afternoon, gents. Well, if you'll excuse me, I have to get back. A railway don't run itself, you know. I'll drop in tomorrow with some more blackberry tea.
Thank you very much.
Oh, and don't forget my bike, will you?
Certainly not.
That bike means a lot to me, that bike does. Man and boy, I've had that bike.
Au revoir. Pauvre Monsieur Anstruther. He is a man obsessed.
Obsessed with what? His bike?
Yes, indeed, Chief Inspector. It has been stolen. He is also obsessed with other things. He knows every final detail about the movements of the trains in and out of his little station.
Oh, yes. Been doing some investigation, have we?
How can I, Chief Inspector? I am prostrated. I toy with the little lines of inquiry, that is all. You, of course, will be well ahead of me.
Well, we've got a description of the murderer.
Yes, a man of medium height, wearing a broad-brimmed hat, sporting a beard that is large and fluffy.
How did you know that?
Because that is a description of the man who stole the bicycle of Monsieur Anstruther. It is essential that we find it, Hastings.
No. Right. Find what?
The bicycle. Also, I am most anxious to establish whether or not Monsieur Archie Havering had an alibi for the time that Monsieur Pace was shot.
You didn't really like your uncle, did you?
What are you implying?
Look, I'm sorry about this. I'm afraid I have to ask you. Poirot wants to know what you were doing yesterday evening at the time of your uncle's death.
How dare you? What on earth makes you think I'd want to kill a man like my Uncle Harry? I tell you, he was beneath contempt. Mean, selfish. You know Stoddard, the gamekeeper, is his half-brother. One of his father's bastards.
Good Lord.
His own blood. And he used him like a servant. How did he get his money in the first place? I'll tell you. He cheated his partner in County Mayo, then used the money for profiteering in the war. And people liked him. He boasted about it and people applauded. Here you are!
Hello?
Chief Inspector?
Ah, how's the cold, Poirot?
It is not a cold. It is a deadly fever.
Nasty.
However, I have asked Monsieur and Madame Havering to come to the hotel. I am now convinced that Monsieur Roger Havering has not been telling the truth. You say, Monsieur Havering, that you arrived at London at 9 o'clock. The only witness that you can produce is the doorman at your club, where you arrived at 10 o'clock. You say that you spent this hour walking between King's Cross and St. James's, and yet you can describe none of your movements, no events, no street names, rien, nothing.
This isn't the line I've been following at all, Poirot.
What are you driving at?
I am driving at a curve in the line of the local railway. A loop of iron which connects Ashby-Pickard with the little station of Ashby-le-Walkin.
What?
It is quite possible, Monsieur Havering, for a man to catch the 6:15 train at one station and get off at the next. With the aid of the bicycle, he returns to Hunter's Lodge, disguised with a beard and wearing the broad-brimmed hat. He shoots the man he wishes to shoot. Then he catches the 7:20 from Ashby-Pickard, a train that is faster than the 6:15, which will get him to London in time to be at his club by 10 o'clock.
My God. You're serious, aren't you?
It is a serious affair. A man has been killed, and you are about to be accused of his murder.
Me?
You, sir.
Do you not see it, monsieur? You must tell us of your movements that night.
Absolutely not. I can't.
For God's sake, Roger, why not?
I just can't.
Well, Poirot.
Carry on, Chief Inspector.
I would like you to accompany me to the local police station, sir.
What?
I wish to question you in connection with the murder of your uncle, Mr. Harrington Pace, and with the disappearance of the housekeeper, Mrs. Middleton.
Yes? It's for you, Chief Inspector.
Jack.
Right.
What is it?
They found Mrs. Middleton.
not late, are we?
No, she hasn't arrived yet. Shouldn't you be in bed?
Possibly. But please, do not fuss.
You looked like you were at death's door last night.
Unfortunately, Chief Inspector, it was my appetite that was dead. My tetra à l'angoisse, it was fed to the cat.
Mrs. Middleton?
Yes, I'm Mrs. Middleton. What have you brought me here for?
The instructions from the agency were to go to Ashby Pickard by train, and I'd be met there, and the engagement would be for 1 month. So I did. And I was met by a very nice Irish lady who...
Irish? You sure?
Oh, yes. She said she was Mrs. Pace. And she said there'd been an embarrassing mix-up.
What sort of mix-up?
She said they were cancelling the shooting this year and there was no household for me to keep. So anyway, she said she'd be grateful if I didn't say anything to the agency because she didn't want them to think she was unreliable, you know. And she was very generous. She said she'd give me 2 months' wages in lieu if I'd agree not to put myself back on the agency books for a full month.
And you agreed?
Yes. She seemed very nice.
You kept very quiet through all that.
I am unwell, and it changes everything, this testimony of Madame Middleton.
Well, it all seems pretty straightforward to me. We still have to find this other woman who pretended to be a housekeeper. Agreed?
I think it would be more fruitful to find the bicycle of Monsieur Anstruther.
What on earth for?
Because, Hastings, it was stolen to transport the murderer to Hunter's Lodge. Why has it disappeared?
Sir? Sir?
What is it, Forgan?
It's Mr. Avering, sir. He's asking to see you.
I'll tell you what I was doing if you promise not to tell Zoe.
Well, let's hope it won't be necessary. I make no promises.
Very well, then. I was with Lord Quarmby.
Lord Quarmby? The racing hour?
Yes, he's chairman of the board in charge of on-course betting. I wanted him to get me off the hook. Well, buy me some time on a couple of my debts.
Why were you so reluctant to tell us this?
A few months ago, you see, I promised Zoe that I'd never back another horse as long as I lived.
And will Lord Quarmby verify that you were with him?
Of course he will.
Tell me, Mademoiselle Joan, on the night of the murder, when was the last time that you saw Madame Middleton?
She was in the car with Mr. Avering when they dropped me off at home. He was on his way to the station, and he gave her a lift over to Mr. Stoddart's house.
Mr. Stoddart, the gamekeeper?
Yes.
Ah, yes, of course. Monsieur Stoddart. You hope to be his wife one day, do you not?
No one's supposed to know that, sir.
I comprehend. Tell me more about Madame Middleton.
Oh, she was that strict. Always leaving little notes about the place, criticising. Mr. Stoddart didn't like her. They used to be quite sharp with each other.
Did Madame Middleton ever talk to you about herself?
No, not really. She said you were from Ireland. Mayo, I think. But she always kept herself to herself, like.
Mademoiselle Joan, this apron.
Oh, that's Mrs. Middleton, sir.
Oh, thank you. That will be all.
So, when Harrington Pace was living in Ireland, he cheated his partner and ruined him. Then, this mysterious woman, who was also from County Mayo, turns up and replaces Mrs. Middleton. She was probably a relation of the ruined man. She opens the door to her accomplice, the fellow with the bushy beard. They kill Pace, and both of them disappear.
Absolument, mon ami. You have the story exact.
Huh.
In your hot countries, of course, they use your gaze hound, hunts by sight. But with the moistness in our air, we favor a dog that hunts by scent. And I tell you, she's a prime example of that, aren't she, huh? She's the best of her kind, she is.
That is most interesting. Tell me, Monsieur Stoddard, if you please, on the night that Monsieur Pace was killed, Madame Middleton came to your house to collect some game birds, did she not?
No. Oh, you're right. I was expecting her. She never arrived. I didn't see her till much later when she came running down lane to tell me about the shooting.
Chief Inspector, there is at Hunter's Lodge a telephone, is there not?
Yes, there is.
Then why did not Madame Middleton herself telephone to the police?
Aye. It's crossed my mind then. What she said was that Mrs. Havering was near hysterical at the horror of it. She wanted to get her to sleep before the police got there. So she sent me to fetch them.
Ah, yes. She needed the time alone in the house. Yes, of course, of course. Monsieur Stoddard, would you consider to involve your excellent dog in a little experiment? She is clever with her nose, you say?
She's got a nose that could scent a puppy in a bit of slurry, she has.
Eh bien, Monsieur Stoddard, our puppy, it is in here. It is essential that we determine the whereabouts of the person who calls herself Madame Middleton.
Easier said than done. Not a glimmer. Road, rail, local gossip, nothing. That's why I think...
Hey up, hey up. What's the go? What's the matter, girl, huh? What's the go, huh? Wait,
Something's been buried.
Something.
It's a coat.
And a hat.
Bon. Monsieur Anstruther, he will be most pleased. What a clever dog.
Everyone here? In the gun room, sir.
Monsieur Harrington Pace was not a likable man. He used his wealth to control his friends and his family. For example, Monsieur Stoddard, his unacknowledged brother, he employed as a gamekeeper, but refused to lend him the £300 necessary to purchase his house and to get married. His nephew, Monsieur Archie Havering, he used as an estate manager, paying him not with money, but with promises of a legacy. His other nephew, Monsieur Roger Havering, was also made to dance the attendance by assurances of wealth to come. There are, I think, here motives for murder. N'est-ce pas?
Now, look here, Poirot.
No, please, Monsieur Roger. I make not the accusations, I merely speculate. For instance, we know that you could not have possibly committed the murder. Because at 6:15, on that night, you were boarding a train for London. But what we did not know was that there was another passenger who also boarded that train. This person alighted from the train at the very next stop and stole the bicycle of my friend, Monsieur Anstruther. A curious thing to do, huh?
Hey, that's my boy!
But the next thing that this person did was even more curious. He buried the bicycle. Then he buried all the necessary accoutrements of a bearded man. And turned himself back into Madame Middleton.
Mrs. Middleton was the bearded man?
But yes, Hastings. You see, we only have the word of Madame Middleton herself that a bearded man came to the house that night, but of course that was not true.
No, I saw him.
Madame Havering, if you please, we will come to that in a minute.
It's as I've said all along. We've got to find this Mrs. Middleton.
Well, may I suggest that you get on and do just that? So far, all you've done is ask impertinent questions and treat respectable people like a lot of criminals.
Please, Monsieur Roger, do not be in such haste. We may know that you did not commit a murder, but there are other things which are not yet so clear. This crime was of a daring most extraordinary. It had to be like clockwork. And the spurious Madame Middleton had to have an accomplice to wind the spring.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Middleton.
At 5:45 on the night of the murder, this spring, it was ready for release. The guests had departed. Mademoiselle Ellie had already gone home. And Mademoiselle Joan had been offered a lift in your car, Monsieur Havering. Mademoiselle Joan was duly dropped at her cottage. Madame Middleton was then to be driven to the home of Monsieur Stoddard to collect some game birds. But of course, she never arrived. She was undergoing a transformation. It was essential, you see, that a suspect should be seen to alight from the train at the very next stop. A suspect that could well be Monsieur Roger Havering in disguise.
Why should I try to incriminate myself?
Because, Monsieur Havering, you had planned most carefully your alibi, your meeting with Lord Quamby, which you would seem to have every reason for keeping secret. But once you were forced to reveal it and were released, it was most unlikely that the police would suspect you for a second time.
You're talking complete rubbish.
No, I think not, Monsieur Havering. You see, while you continued your journey to London, Madame Middleton returned to Hunter's Lodge. Your uncle was a very wealthy man. In time, you would inherit his fortune, but your gambling debts grew heavier and Monsieur Pace refused to bail you out. You desperately needed the money now. And so on that fateful night, Monsieur Pace was shot in cold blood.
Prove it. You just prove it. That is a lying slander. You're going to find yourself in court, Mr. Bloody Poirot. And who is this Mrs. Middleton I meant to have been an accomplice of? You can't even find her. So you busy yourself accusing everybody else.
You think that Hercule Poirot is unable to find this mysterious Madame Middleton? Hercule Poirot knows a way to make Madame Middleton appear in our midst as if by magic. You do not believe in magic? Very well. I have only to tap with my cane on the floor 3 times. Thus. 1, 2, 3.
Can we now stop this charade? Chief Inspector?
I don't know, sir.
I've always enjoyed party games.
Silly dog, what's it doing? Will somebody take it away? Stop it! Stop it!
It's all right, Zoe.
Come on, Hugh!
Don't know what your silly game is, but it seems to have gone horribly wrong. Now leave her alone! Zoe had nothing whatever to do with this Mrs. Middleton.
On the contrary, Monsieur Hachi. Madame Havering had a very close relationship with the housekeeper, Madame Middleton. The odd thing about it being was that they were never once seen together.
This temporary housekeeper had only recently been employed for the family stay at Hunter's Lodge. She left little notes for the servants and kept herself to herself. If the mistress was at home, the housekeeper was absent. When the housekeeper was downstairs, the mistress was in her room. And that is where, on the night of the murder, after she had been interviewed by the police, Madame Middleton disappeared forever from the face of the earth.
Because it was you, Madame Zoe Havering. Together with your husband, you planned and carried out this murder in genius. Together, you plotted to rid yourselves of your uncle that was hated and to lay your hands at last on his money.
I must ask you both to come with me to the police station.
How dare you? This has gone far enough. I do not intend to stand idly by.
Oh, shut up, Roger.
But why did she have to bury the bicycle?
How could she leave it lying around, Hastings? If it was found and identified by Monsieur Anstruther as the bicycle that was stolen outside the railway station, then it would show that the murderer was still close to Hunter's Lodge.
Oh, hello, Mr. Poirot.
Monsieur Anstruther?
The blackberry tea did the trick, then?
It did indeed, monsieur. It also stimulated the little gray cells to such an extent that it enabled me to track down your bicycle.
It's a bit of a blooming mess, isn't it?
Yes, it got buried.
Buried?
Buried.
It's all covered in mud and mould.
I regret that I did not have the time to clean it for you, monsieur.
I don't know as I could be seen riding about on a thing like that. That mud guard's all bent too.
Monsieur Anstruther, do you or do you not want your bicycle?
Oh, just leave it there. I'll see if the boy can do anything with it.
Is this gratitude, Hastings? Is it for this that Hercule Poirot exerts his talents on behalf of the world?
You expect gratitude? Don't make me laugh. Now you know what a real detective feels like.
A real detective? The Chief Inspector Japp is truly most amusing, do you not think, Hastings?
Oh, yes. Most amusing.
For a policeman.